And 3 weeks away from the Derby, there are still 26 three-year-old thoroughbreds with all intentions of being in that starting gate on the first Saturday in May. Only problem is only 20 stalls are available. It comes down to earnings in graded stakes company. That's why today is so important. 3 major Grade 2 events across the country we'll be telling you about. Let's start with ours, the richest of the events, the Toyota Bluegrass Stakes. $700,000 in the purse. It's for 3-year-olds at 1 1/8 miles, a Grade 2 event. So the money earned will be very important for these horses. 7 will be in the field today. I guess you'd have to say that, well, 6 of them are what we'd call snowbirds. They've come up from Florida to run in Kentucky, led by the big gray Diligence of George Steinbrenner's stable. Here you see him winning the Unbridled Stakes, and Diligence has been listed as the morning line favorite here. The only really outsider of this group would have to be this one, Cimarron. He's a West Coast horse by way of Oklahoma. You see him here winning the Remington Park Derby. Today's weather in Lexington, light rain showers falling here. The temperatures, as you see, in the low 60s. Little breeze, but still a fast racetrack, this 1/16 mile oval. Now let's set the field. We go behind the grandstand. My colleagues today, Bob Newmeyer and Norm Hitzges.
Well, Chris, the heavyweight champion of the 3-year-old division so far is Unbridled Song. He'll be the favorite in the Derby, barring a catastrophe at the Wood Memorial today at Aqueduct. But, Norm, I think the practical upshot of this race today is that the winner clearly will be the second betting choice come the first Saturday in May.
Yeah, but who's the winner in this well-balanced field where all 7 raced as 2-year-olds? All 7 have finished first or second one of the last 2 races. 6 of the 7 have earned at least $150,000, and all 7 have Derby aspirations.
I think, in all honesty, that we'd say there are 2 long shots, but 5 very possible contenders. Let's meet the field for the Bluegrass. Nick Zito, who has won 2 Kentucky Derbies, sends out a pair. Number 1, Louis Quatorze, and number 3, Diligence. Ensign Ray's a big long shot. He is number 2. Then the rapidly developing draw is number 4 with Pat Day. Another live horse in this field to be sure. Skip Away with Shane Sellers. He's number 5. Cimarron is one of the long shots. He comes in from the West Coast with Russell Bays. And the 7-horse, the co-favorite, is Editor's Note, a familiar combination of jockey Gary Stevens and the ever-present trainer, Mr. D. Wayne Lucas.
Yeah, Editor's Note is another one of the members of the Lucas Brigade. Just a couple of weeks ago, it appeared D. Wayne Lucas had 5 horses that were serious Derby contenders, but the last couple of weeks, nothing but questions have been raised about the strength of the Lucas Brigade.
No doubt about that, Norm. Very disappointing for Wayne. Let's take a look at some of the results. No, he didn't make a victory speech. Lucas made a concession speech when 3rd in the Jim Beam. Honor and Glory, neither. A well-beaten 3rd in the Santa Anita Derby, moved up to 2nd by a disqualification. And Prince of Thieves didn't raise a hoof in that Derby, although he did bleed in that race and will be treated with Lasix as he goes on down the line.
Lucas has Editor's Note here today, and the morning line favorite Grindstone in the Arkansas Derby. That completes his 5-pack.
But this is a fertile ground, this Bluegrass, for the Kentucky Derby. As a matter of fact, 4 of the last 6 Derby winners have run here at Keeneland. Notice I said run and not necessarily won. In fact, Strike the Gold is the only horse during this period to win both the Bluegrass and the Derby. He followed a script that trainer Nick Zito wrote back in 1991 and hopes to repeat this year. 3 other times in the last 6 years, the Derby winner has been a Bluegrass loser. Unbridled, for example. He didn't care for Keeneland's money track to turn the tables on Summer Squall when it counted the most. What about the 93 Bluegrass? Why, Sea Hero couldn't even hit the board. But he, too, won the Derby, proving once again that winning this race isn't as important as simply making an appearance. And last year, Thunder Gulch at 6-5 finished 4th and lost a lot of support for the Derby. That is until he redeemed himself at Churchill Downs at 25-1 when Gary Stevens guided him to a hard-fought Derby score. Well, this race confused a lot of the handicappers last year with the Thunder Gulch losing as a big favorite, and Wild Sin, who was a big long shot, winning the race. And on that Derby day, you couldn't find Wild Sin with a telescope, so sometimes you can read into it a little too deeply.
Yeah, this race may be most important to Draw and Cimarron. Neither of them have any graded stakes earnings, so if they're going to make it to Louisville for the Run for the Roses, today they're going to have to make it there the old-fashioned way. They're going to have to earn it.
All right, we have 7 of them here in the Bluegrass. 5 of them have, we think, a legitimate shot to take down the money. Chris?
Well, since we're talking about money, let's take a look at the breakdown of the richest purse ever offered here at Keeneland. Thanks to the sponsorship of Toyota, there you see $434,000 at first, down to fifth place with $21,000. Every dollar could be very important to get in that starting gate for the Kentucky Derby. Hey, we're glad you're with us today. ESPN's final Derby prep race, the Toyota Bluegrass, live from Keeneland. Thrifty Car Rental, racing across America, presented by Visa, is brought to you by Thrifty Car Rental, historically known for low rates. By Visa, it's everywhere you want to be. Budweiser, official sponsor of the 1996 U.S. Olympic team. This Bud's for you. By Toyota and their full line of quality cars and trucks. Toyota, I love what you do for me. Purolator, to protect your engine, remember, Pure Oil now, Pure Oil later, Purolator. And by Wittenauer watches, the perfect balance of hand craftsmanship and advanced technology. Wittenauer, the watchmaker's watch. ESPN making its final stop on our 96 Derby campaign trail here in Lexington for our feature, the $700,000 Toyota Bluegrass. In all, $1.7 million being offered today in 3 major Grade 2 events across the country. The others later on today, the Wood in New York at Aqueduct, then the Arkansas Derby at Oaklawn and Hot Springs. For more on those 2 big prep races, let's again go to the paddock to Bob and Norm.
Thank you, Chris. Bob, it appears that the Arkansas Derby is wide open, and unless something unbelievable happens, the Wood's already over.
Yeah, I think that race begins and ends with Unbridled Song, no question about that. Name your price in that race, 1 to 10, 2 to 5. I mean, here he is at the Florida Derby, and this was stupendous, scintillating, spectacular. You described this effort by this colt. He's going to be the favorite in the Derby, but he's got to buck a couple of significant historical trends. Number 1, the first horse to win the Breeders' Cup Juvenile and the Derby. And number 2, the first favorite to win the Run for the Roses since, what was it, Spectacular Bid?
Yeah, 79. You know, a key to how much horsemen respect Unbridled Song might be seen in the size of the fields. The Wood has a very soft field of 5 other contenders. Meanwhile, last week in Santa Anita, it was loaded with contenders. The starting gate is full at the Arkansas Derby. There's a deep, good field here at the Bluegrass. Doesn't appear many horsemen want to challenge Unbridled Song before they have to challenge him in the Run for the Roses.
Now, when you say deep, we mean deep at Oaklawn. 12 of them?
Yeah, 12 of them. 12 of them. The biggest field since 1990 in the Derby. In the last 8 years, the favorites finished better than third just once. The favorite today, Morning Line, was the D. Wayne Lucas horse Grindstone that comes off a smashing win at the Louisiana Derby. But Grindstone with Jerry Bailey up drew post number 12. At this Oaklawn meet, horses going a distance of ground, drawing the number 12 post, are 0 for 52.
Say what?
All right, handicapper, you ready to challenge an 0 for 52 trend?
Sounds like my betting pattern at Keeneland this week. But if you had to go past that horse, how about Halo Sunshine? He's an accomplished type in from the West Coast. Looked good here at Bay Meadows, winning the Golden State Derby. He's kept some fancy company out west with the likes of Honor and Glory et al., and he's a major contender in this race. But I think as we look at the form, Norm, you and I would agree that we're looking and kind of combing our way around for that upset, long shot, bombs away special today.
The weird thing is we each independently came up with the same bomb. Out of the one-hole Jewel Road, it's only won once. It's a sprinter, but it's been working brilliantly. I checked its dosage index. It has a dosage index of 1, meaning it's bred to run from Hot Springs to Louisville.
Well, he'll be 30 to 1 in the morning line, and I thank you for checking that dosage, so that'll give us an edge, I'm sure, with that long shot. That's the way it looks, Chris. Back to you.
All right, fellas, you know we always try to keep you up to date on the Kentucky Derby Future Book from Caesars Palace, Las Vegas. Well, Caesars has come to us today. Vinny Miliolo, the man who sets the odds, is here at Keeneland. We asked him for an update. Vinny?
This year's Wood Memorial Prohibitive Favorite, Unbridled Song, opened at a very hefty 15 to 1 in our Future Book last November. Down still at the favorite, 2 to 1. Some of the other notables from the big races today here at Keeneland in the Bluegrass Stakes. Draw opened at 60 to 1, currently at 25. Editor's note, 30 to 1, currently 7 to 1. Up in the Wood Memorial Feather Box, open 150 to 1, still a very attractive 100 to 1. And over in the Arkansas Derby, some very big prices initially. Blowout 55, currently 25. Grindstone, 85 to 1, been bet down to 15 to 1. And Pugnacious, 75, now 20 to 1 in the future book.
Well, that wraps our Derby Campaign 96. Next time we talk to you, we'll be under the spires at Churchill Downs in Louisville, Kentucky. Corporate sponsorship has come to the Bluegrass Stakes in this its 72nd running. But more on that. We talked earlier to the president CEO of the Keeneland Association, our good friend, Mr. Bill Greeley.
The Bluegrass this year and for the next 3 years is being sponsored by the Toyota Motor Corporation, which is a combination of 3 groups. It's a combination of the regional dealers here in Fayette County, the regional dealers in northern Kentucky and Cincinnati, and also the manufacturing plant in Georgetown, Kentucky. So it's a very exciting venture for us, and we're very happy to have Toyota on as a sponsorship. And it's a combination of 2 great corporations combining their talents into one and showing off the Toyota cars along with the Bluegrass Stakes horses. And also this year, the board of directors has elected to increase the purses here at Keeneland to an all-time high of over $460,000 per day, and has brought in many, many good horses. And our race meeting so far has been excellent, and the caliber of racing should continue to be one of the best in the world.
And there's a look at our favorite right now on the morning line. This is Diligence, trained by Nick Zito. When we come back, we'll talk to the colorful Nick Zito. Thrifty Car Rental, racing across America, presented by Visa. Welcomes you back to Keeneland. Most of the folks under the grandstand here with some light showers falling. And we'll look ahead to the start of Stanley Cup playoff action on ESPN2. It all begins Tuesday, April 16th. Well, with 3 weeks now to the Kentucky Derby, this is what they known as the Commonwealth they call Zito time. That's right, Nick Zito, the colorful trainer out of New York, just loves to come to Kentucky. Why not? He's won 2 of the last 5 Kentucky Derbies. And in today's field of 7, Nick has a pair, including the favorite Diligence and a pretty good runner named Louis Quatorze.
Well, we've been lucky here, and hopefully we could keep it going. You know, last year in the Derby we finished 11th, but Suave Prospect was 2nd in the Bluegrass, and we have a lot of luck here, and hopefully we have 2 good chances.
Zito's best chance would seem to be with this gray colt, Diligence, owned by the New York Yankees' George Steinbrenner, winner of the recent Unbridled Stakes.
Well, Diligence is a super cool horse. He's done everything right. I don't think you have to give any kind of pump up for him. You don't have to build him up at all. He's 3 for 3 this winter. Again, he ran with some competitive horses. He did it the right way. It's time to try to march towards the big dance.
Louis Quatorze, Nick's other Bluegrass starter, runs for famed breeder Georgia Hoffman, along with his 2-time Kentucky Derby winning owners, Bill Condren and Joe Carnacchia.
He was a top 2-year-old last year. I think he was 4th or 5th on the experimental handicap, which is pretty good. There were only Unbridled Song, Hennessy, and Cobra King, whatever, just a few in front of him. And he was 2nd in the Hopeful to Hennessy. He was 2nd to Maria's Mom, I believe, in the Futurity. He broke his maiden at Saratoga, which is always tough to do. Beat a horse called Beef Chopper, I think was running Arkansas Derby. So he was a top 2-year-old.
But many have questioned Zito about running his 2 stable stars against each other today.
Well, you know, Chris, for me, the ultimate race is the Kentucky Derby. You know, I always say you give up a lot of things personally, and I just shoot for one thing in life, and that's the Kentucky Derby. And that's what I live for, period. And I think this year, the best chance for us to do well in the Derby is to come here. And that's to run both horses in the Bluegrass.
Diligence got a designer trip on the front end with very moderate fractions at the Unbridled Stakes, but at the finish, Draw had drawn within a length and a quarter of him. If Diligence gets, as expected, a lot more heat for the front today, that could benefit the stalker Draw.
A little handicapping tip. You know, Shug McGahee, who trains Draw, likes to work his horses 3 furlongs the day before a race. He worked Draw here yesterday at Keeneland, 34 and change breezing, showing that he is very sharp. He may be the best bred colt in the race, so he's a contender.
At the Unbridled Stakes, McGahee saw that horse Draw again swerve dramatically in the stretch.
He set in 4, 5, 6 lengths in behind there, and he finished up fine. And I've had a problem with him all the time with he wants to duck from the whip, and it's not being hit. It's when the rider draws the whip, and he'll take a look at it. He did it 2 races before the unbridled in a lounge race and ducked out in the middle of the racetrack where he finished 3rd. And then the other day in the unbridled, he did it again like at the 16th hole or something.
McGahee's been patiently waiting for draw to mature. Today he chooses Pat Day to ride, believing that Day's style of being very sparing with the whip will not spoil this child. But I know you're leaning another direction from draw.
Yeah, you know, all the wise guys here at Keeneland says you can't bet a horse off the pace. You must go with front-running speed types. But I have a fancy for editor's note today. He's trained by Wayne Lucas. He made a sensational run to Unbridled Song to finish 2nd in the Florida Derby. I think that has been the best 3-year-old prep race to date thus far. He's a bit of a rogue. He's not a particularly good starter. I don't think that will hurt him today. Gary Stevens will just take him up out of the gate and angle him towards the rail. And I look for this horse to make a big run in the stretch, let the speed kind of mix it up, and come on down the lane.
Does it worry you he hasn't won in 6 races, and that this is the 14th race of his career already, that he might be getting a little used up?
Not for Wayne Lucas, no. He is just warming up with 14 races for Wayne.
Chris, back to you.
Well, we've touched on the Florida Invaders. We've got one to talk about from the West Coast in Cimarron. The umbrellas are up at Keeneland. What do they say? April showers bring May flowers. We're thinking about roses here. They say it's the greatest place in the world to raise thoroughbreds, and the counties here in central Kentucky, as we welcome you back to the Toyota Bluegrass 1996. Let's check the odds now here. The current odds, the track. Remember, Diligence was our 2-to-1 morning line favorite. Look at Diligence now at 4-to-1. The favorite role goes to, but a surprise, Team Lucas at 5-2. Editors, no. Let's go back to Norm Hitzkiss now in the paddock.
Chris, the conditioner of Cimarron, Bob Baffert, currently ranks in the top 3 of Santa Anita's trainer standings. But he's a rookie here at the Bluegrass Stakes. But those with real good memories may recall his visit to these parts several springs ago. It was 6 years ago that Bob Baffert first brought a horse to Keeneland with the Kentucky Derby on his mind. But a distant 3rd place finish in the mile and a 16th Lexington Stakes provided a dose of reality.
It was my, I was a first contest kid. I had the Super Derby fever. I mean, couldn't sleep at night, and I really didn't know, just new in the business, and had a great horse, but I just had him in the wrong distance.
Wrong distance indeed. 2.5 years later, 30 Slews found his niche, winning the 6-furlong Breeders' Cup Sprint. Baffert has since taken great pains to avoid that dreaded Derby fever. That is until Cavanier won at Santa Anita last weekend.
This year I sort of kept myself pretty cool and calm, and I really wasn't, the Derby fever never hit me, and everybody was asking me, you got to have it? I said, I don't have it yet, because I know the disappointments when you're coming up to a race and your horse gets hurt or something. But when that horse turned for home and exploded down the lane and hit the wire, I said, oh my God, the fever hit going to the winner's circle.
And this week, Baffert hopes his temperature goes right through the roof as his Remington Park Derby winner Cimarron contests the Bluegrass.
Cimarron is, he's handy, he's a little horse, but he's handy, and I think he has great stamina. His breeding might not suggest that because he's by Phone Trick, who basically throws sprinters, but he's a little horse that has always shown us a lot of talent, and he can relax, and I think he can run all day long also, and I was very excited about him. He just opened up on him. He got through a hole. He bulled his way through. He doesn't get intimidated by other horses.
And likewise, the trainer is no longer intimidated by the task at hand.
I feel real confident right now that I haven't had any, we haven't hit any snags in our program yet on the Derby trail, and the horses seem to be peaking at the right time. So really just keeping our fingers crossed.
Well, those of you watching in the Bay Area and those of you who play simulcast, very possible, popular now around the country, know this guy well. Russell Bays is the king of the Bay Area. He's 3-5 or 4-5 and almost every horse he rides, but you come in here today as a bit of a long shot. Tell us about your chances in the Bluegrass.
Well, this little horse is going to run his race. We shouldn't have any problem. He's got good tactical speed, and just going to be a question of whether he's good enough, I think.
Never tackled other colts like these, I would say.
No, but he's done everything we've asked him to so far. So, you know, if he can step up to the task today, it wouldn't surprise me at all.
All right, what about Russell Bayes in riding here in the East? You're, except for the simulcast players and the Bay Meadows guys, you're a well-kept secret, yet you won over 400 races the last 4 years, an Eclipse Award. Russell, what did it mean to you to win that award last year?
Well, I was extremely honored to win it and surprised. I just couldn't believe, that they'd singled me out for something like that. And probably the accomplishments I've made in the last 4 years will hit me later on down the road. But right now, I'm just doing my job.
And it boggles my mind when I think of all the races that you've won over all the years. You've never, ever had a mount in the Run for the Roses. Is that going to change this year?
I'm certainly hoping it will.
He hopes it will on Cimarron today in the Bluegrass Stakes. Chris?
Russell Bayes, one of America's great kept racing secrets. What a talented rider there. We'll be back with more of our coverage. We're waiting for the horses to come to the track here for the post parade as you look at Skip Away from Sonny Hines Barn. One of the many horse barns here in Southern Kentucky. This is the source for all our coverage now, of course, as we're preparing for the Toyota Bluegrass Stakes. And a little handicapping information for you. We brought together two of the best, handicapper Bob Newmeyer and, of course, Mike Battaglia, who called the Bluegrass Sports. Last time we put these two together, I think they were giving tips out for NBC in the Breeders' Cup, wasn't it, Bob?
Well, Mike, the last time we were together, we buried how many millions fans on the Breeders' Cup?
We gave them a lot of winners. I did. I don't think you did.
Made a few bucks for him anyway.
We did.
And now we're back today. This is no easy pickings today here at Keeneland.
I think this is a very well-matched field. You only got 7 going, but actually, any of the 7 wins, I couldn't say I'm shocked.
Any of the 7, we're going out on a limb again. Any of the 7 wins. How about that?
I wouldn't say I was shocked if any of them won, would you?
Well, I'll tell you, I know you're the king of Keeneland. This is your territory. I come in here, you're driving a fancy car, people following you up to the windows left and right. So they want to know, who's it going to be today?
Well, I hate to do it and pick a favorite, but I'll tell you what, this track has
another favorite.
This track has really been favoring speed. Today, all through the meet, it's been favoring speed. The track's been lightning fast. We had maidens, 3-year-old maidens go 15-1 in the second race.
Let's get to it, Mike. You're burying the lead.
Diligence. I'm going to go for him. He's got the speed. As a matter of fact, I like a Zito over Zito Exacta.
Is it a pasta dish or what is it?
That's it.
Okay.
Zito over Zito.
Okay, I thought you were giving me some menu for tonight.
Zito over Zito.
Meal here.
What do you like?
Diligence has lost the editor's note twice, as I recall, correct?
As a 2-year-old. Those don't count, but go ahead.
They don't count?
No.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, they count. He beat him twice, or beat him again today. Editor's note to win the Bluegrass and my Exacta will be completed by Skippy. Peanut butter?
You got it.
Trial?
Skip away.
Skip away.
Enough.
There you go.
3rd and 4th.
Good luck.
Oh, look at editor's note. The favorite right now at 2-1, and Bob, it looks like he's kind of frisky in the paddock. His riders are up.
Well, this is not totally uncharacteristic for this 3-year-old. We told you that he is a little tough to handle, but he's feeling good. He's bucking and squealing down here in the paddock. I had a good chance to look at all of the 3-year-olds, and physically, I'm particularly impressed with Louis Couture's. He just gleamed of excellent color in his coat, and I look for Louis just on appearance handicapping to run a nice race today in the Bluegrass. But as they say, appearances can deceive. This is not a Miss America contest. They win it on the racetrack. Chris, back to you.
And as they call to the post, we will take a look at the Visa 3-year-old Championship Series points. Unbridled Song, of course, off his Florida Derby and on top at 20. There you see the first and second place finishers. The Santa Anita Derby next. Rora won the Jim Beam. Romano Gucci, who won the Gotham. And, of course, 45 points available today across the country in the 3 Grade 2 Derby preps. That's the update on the Visa 3-year-old Championship points. We're set for the post parade for the 1996 $700,000 Toyota Bluegrass. The 1-horse Louis Couture still looking for his first stakes win, but has only been off the board twice in 7 starts. A $225,000 Keeneland purchase. Hall of Famer Chris McCarron has the assignment, won the Santa Anita Derby last week. Ensign Ray the 2, a pace setter who ran second, beaten just a length and a half by Roar in our Jim Beam show. Badly beaten in the Florida Derby, though. Willie Martinez, the winningest rider in Kentucky last year, has the assignment. The 3, the morning line favorite, but has fallen off in favoritism now. Diligence from George Steinbrenner's stable. Has not lost in 3 starts this year. He likes to run up front. Eddie De La Jose, the Hall of Famer, and a 5-time Keeneland riding champion, has the assignment. The 4 is Draw, coming off a bullet work here. Last week was second to Diligence in the Unbridled. A new rider today in Pat Day, the Hall of Fame rider, 2-time winner of the Bluegrass, 12-time Keeneland riding champion. The 5 is Skip Away, big, strong, gray colt from Carolyn and trainer Sonny Hines stable. Third in the tough Florida Derby trip, coming off bullet works, though, here and at Gulfstream. Shane Sellers, winner of riding titles at Keeneland and Churchill last year, will be the pilot today. The 6 is Cimarron from Bobby Baffert's stable, Remington Park Derby winner, perfect 4 for 4 this year. And of course, Team Baffert won last week's Santa Anita Derby. Russell Bays, who you met earlier, is in the irons this afternoon. And rounding out the field, and right now the race favorite at 2-1. This is Editor's Note from Overbrook Farm and Team Lucas, one of possibly 5 Dwayne Lucas 3-year-olds headed to the Derby. He was second to Unbridled Song in the Florida Derby, but he has not won since last September. $125,000 purchase right here at Keeneland. Gary Stevens, the rider, just nominated to Racing's Hall of Fame. There they are, 7 to go. The first $434,000 to the winner. Again, all those dollars important for those who are looking ahead to run in 3 weeks at Churchill Downs for the Kentucky Derby. We'll be right back. Thrifty Car Rental racing across America. Presented by Visa. We're getting close to post time here for the $700,000 Toyota Bluegrass at Keeneland. We'll wrap up all the action, though, the big thoroughbred, quarter horse, and harness action for you on the Racehorse Digest. Join us Wednesday, 4:30 on ESPN. Now let's update the odds presented by Auto Tote here at the track. Editor's Note still maintain the favorites role here, and you see also support for the 3-horse Diligence as well as Skip Away at 7-2. But take note of this. The last 10 runnings of the Bluegrass have produced some big prices, an average of $19.20 winners. So, Norm Hitzges, we're looking for a price horse here for this running of the Bluegrass in the Budweiser Long Shot.
Budweiser long shot is Cimarron, the only horse in the field to win 2 races with purses of $100,000 or more. 3 weeks ago, we'd have never touted this horse in the Bluegrass. He looked like just another candidate to get cooked in an early speed duel. But at Remington Park, this former early flyer learned to rate, actually dropping to last in the 5-horse field, then showing outstanding courage, charging through tight quarters on the turn for home, shaking off some significant bumping and drawing off to win impressively. Today, in a race where there might be lots of competition for the early lead, look for Cimarron and his newfound style to come running late as our Bluegrass Stakes Bud Long Shot.
There is the Budweiser Long Shot to Skip Away, and he right now on the board listed as 4-1. Skip Away trained by Sonny Hine, the colorful one from Florida. First time he's ever run a horse here at Keeneland. We had a chance to ask Sonny Hine earlier about the colt's problems, though, when he ran 3rd in the Florida Derby.
He sort of slow rode him out of the gate, and the field came in on him, and they backed up into him, and he's a big, long striding horse, and he was forced to cramp him real bad in the first turn, and then he realized he might go down if he went over top of anybody, and he just snatched him out of there to the right, and he bumped a couple horses, but he did finally get out of there. And he made a run, and he sort of hung, and probably due to bad racing luck that he wasn't second, and on top of that, I probably undertrained him for the race.
All right, Bob and Norm have some comments. You look at Skip Away at 4-1, and I don't know, Bob, I kept looking for that trouble of Skip Away in the Florida Derby. Where was it?
I think it was in the minds of the trainer there, Chris. But what shocks me about the betting of this race is how much respect Cimarron is getting at 5-1. I don't know whether this is Bob Baffert mania carrying over from his win on Cavalier, but 5-1, I just threw him out.
Bob, what do you think about the early pace that's obviously critical here? How about Skip Away coming out and pressing Diligence?
I think it's tough to read. I think we do know that this one, Editor's Note, will be taken back to last. He'll be gathered back, and Gary will make one run on the turn. As for the the pace, Norm, it's tough to read because most of these horses either want to be on the lead or they want to be pressing the lead. So now the start becomes important and position in the turn becomes important.
Let me suggest to you we might be able to run this race 5 times and get 5 slightly different strategies from this field.
Excellent value on Louis Quatorze at 8-1 from the rail, and I think there's nice value on a horse like Draw at 5-1, even Skip Away at 4-1. Editor's Note is the favorite. No real shock there. A nice second to Unbridled Song.
No, and Editor's Note carrying the flag of the Lucas. Is that his top horse for the Derby? Let's go back to Chris.
Quick note, 3 of the last 4 Bluegrass races have been won wire to wire, including last year Wild Sim when he paid $62.40 in that shocker. We'll go to the top of the stands now. The voice of Kentucky racing. Here's Mike Battaglia.
Thanks, Chris. And they're moving into the gate. There goes Skip Away, waiting for Cimarron. And Editor's Note will be ready to go. The 76th running of what is now the Toyota Bluegrass Stake, the 72nd running. Having a little trouble now with Cimarron. Cimarron hesitates just a bit. The others are standing well. 2-1 right now on Editor's Note, 3-1 on Diligence, and we've got 4-1 on Skip Away. Pair of 5-1s, Draw and Cimarron. Cimarron still having some problems. Now he's in the gate, waiting just for Editor's Note. We'll be ready to go. There goes Editor's Note. There at the post. All in line, and they're off. For the lead, Ensign Ray quickly on the inside. Skip Away on the outside. Diligence between horses. Cimarron up on the outside is next, then Louis Quatorze, followed by Draw and Editor's Note into the first turn. Ensign Ray is in front, has it by a length. Skip Away to the outside second. Down along the inside, Diligence third ahead. Cimarron is fourth. And it's a length and a half back. Through from the inside in fifth. That is a Draw. Also up from the inside, Louis Quatorze and the trailer, Editor's Note. Onto the back stretch. On the outside, Skip Away puts the head in front. Ensign Ray on the inside. Those two now right together. Then a gap of 2.5. Louis Quatorze is third ahead. Diligence is fourth ahead. Cimarron on the outside runs fifth. 2 back to Draw and Editor's Note. As they move for the turn, Ensign Ray with the head in front. Skip Away second. Louis Quatorze on the inside, third ahead. Diligence is fourth. Cimarron runs fifth. Then it's Draw and Editor's Note still trails. As they move into the turn, it's Skip Away. Now getting the lead. Skip Away in front. Draws off by 2 lengths. Louis Quatorze moves into second. On the outside, Diligence third. Editor's Note into fourth. Into the stretch. It's Skip Away in front. Has it now by 3 lengths. On the inside in second, that's Louis Quatorze. Up on the outside, gaining ground, Editor's Note. But nearing the wire, it's Skip Away. Just drawing away from this field. Skip Away, an impressive winner of the Bluegrass over Louis Quatorze and Editor's Note. Just the easiest kind of win for Skip Away. Shane Sellers keeps him right back off of the early pace. When he asks him to run, he goes right by Ensign Ray and just was impressive in the stretch. They could have gone a long way. They weren't going to catch Skip Away this afternoon. Sellers rode a perfect race. Sonny Hine had this horse in just top shape. Running time for the Bluegrass, the 1 1/8. 1:47.1. Excellent time. 1:47.1.
Skip Away, our unofficial winner, and now he joins a group here of now 5 Bluegrass winners that have been gray going back to 1945. Pretty good grays include, well, Spectacular Bit 79, Pistols and Roses 92, Holy Bull in 1994, Darby Dip in 1945, and now you can add Carolyn Hines, Skip Away. Sonny Hine will find no trouble today in this running of the Bluegrass. Welcome back to Toyota Bluegrass at Keeneland, and there you see a salute from a very happy jockey, Shane Sellers, aboard Skip Away, the 3-year-old bay colt by Skip Trial out of the Diplomat Way mare Ingot Way, bred by Marie Anna Barnhart, owned by Carolyn Hine, trained by her husband, Sonny Hine, and ridden beautifully today by Shane Sellers, last year's Keeneland champion. Well, Sonny paid $22.5 for this one, Bob. Had it for $30. He turned it back, got it back for $22.5 privately. He's got to feel awfully good about this purchase of this big guy, Skip Away.
A rather shrewd investment, to be sure, Chris Lincoln. This is one of 2 Florida breds in this field today, and as we pick it up down the backside, that's the long shot Ensign Ray on the lead in the gray, and ranging alongside in the red and gold stripes with a red and gold cap is the winner, Skip Away, and he does just that. He skips away from Ensign Ray in 1, 2, 3 beats, and he's off to the races. And Shane Sellers just with a hand ride turning for home. Louis Quatorze is going to range up alongside. Editor's note will make a belated move. But this Bluegrass Stakes is owned by Skip Away. And what strikes me about the finish of this race is that the Florida Derby looks like such a key race with Unbridled Song ready to go in the wood, that Editor's Note, who ran second in that race, third today, that Skip Away, who ran third, wins that race, and that Louis Quatorze, who ran fourth, runs second. So finishers 2, 3, 4 in the Florida Derby run 1, 2, 3 here in the Bluegrass. Chris?
All right, and I see down below at the winner's circle, Norm Hitzkus with losing rider Gary Stevens with Editor's Note. Norm?
I'm with Gary Stevens, the rider of Editor's Note, who came up to get third. Describe your trip, first of all.
Well, Norm, it was a pretty useful race for him. We used him a little more than he probably likes to be used early, but the way this racetrack plays for this race, you've got to be close to the pace. And, you know, a lot of people are saying it's a prep race for the Derby, but we raced for $700,000 today, and we wanted a big portion of it. The colt ran good, and it should set him up good for the Derby.
Down the stretch, he did get up to third. Did you feel when you looked at the track this day that you'd have trouble coming down the stretch as you're moving wide here to pick up third?
Well, like I say, we took him a little bit out of his running style. We were, you know, not too far off the pace. I had to use him a little bit early to keep him in the race, and he just ran real even with me throughout the race. He didn't give me a big kick at the end, but you kind of figure that when you change the horse's running style and keep him a little closer. But we had to do that today, and like I say, it should set him up really well for the Derby.
Good luck. Have a good time at the Derby.
Thank you, Norm.
That's Gary Stevens, the writer of Editor's Note. Back to you, Chris Lincoln.
Let's make it official now. The Toyota Bluegrass Stakes at Keeneland. And the big punch of that $700,000 prize goes to Skip Away. And he returns nicely, 11.20, 6.20, and 3.80. Louis Quatorze at 9.40 and 5.80. And you just heard from Gary Stevens. Editor's Note, 2.80. Running time, 1:47 and 1. Let's go to Bob now.
With the winning connections, Shane Sellers, the rider, and Sonny Hine is the trainer. And let's talk to Sonny first of all. And I guess that you made an announcement far and wide for all to hear that you were going to win today, and you were going to win big.
Yeah, well, he had a bad trip in the Florida Derby, and I undertrained him for the Florida Derby. And I told everybody it was only his second start of the year. And I kept giving Shane hell in the mornings. I said, you're not letting him work fast, even though he's going in 12s. So we got the race in him and put a couple good works in him, and Shane did the rest.
So you're telling us you're not surprised by this?
Not at all. I told everybody around me, I said I wouldn't be surprised if he won by 8 or 10.
Shane, your thoughts on this race?
Again, I'm not surprised. I mean, I said going into the Florida Derby, I wouldn't trade this horse for any horse in the race, and I meant it. He was training as good as any horse I've ever been on, and he's a racehorse. Mr. Sonny put the blinkers, and the Lasix really helped him, and he's just a racehorse.
Well, you have a nice, comfortable hold of him as you turn for home, and now Louis Quatorze will stride within a couple of lengths. Editor's Note is third, ranging up on the outside. Tell us about your thoughts as you turn for home.
Well, as I turned for home, I really felt it was over. My colt he had his ears up from the backside, and although I was on the lead or close to it, I wasn't worried because he was relaxed with me, and being on him in the morning, I know what kind of punch he's got. And in fact, I was hoping somebody would come to me somewhere down the lane to make him lay his ears down and run.
Sonny, one last question. Can you beat Unbridled Song, assuming he runs his race today in the wood in the Kentucky Derby?
He'll make Unbridled Song run. I think if he had a good trip in the Florida Derby, we would have given him a challenge. But he's certainly the top of the class.
Well, Sonny, if you can do it, it ain't bragging, and he did it today. Chris?
Well, I know Sonny and Carolyn Hine were worried about, well, $15,000 to start, $15,000 to enter the Kentucky Derby. They've got no problems now. Now with a big purse today, they took out the Toyota Bluegrass here at Keeneland. Thrifty Car Rental racing across America. Glad you're back with us here at Keeneland. presented by Visa, our Racing Across America series, and the winner's circle across the way. Sonny Hine there, his wife Carolyn. What a great team they are. Married in 1962. Carolyn has always said that they're not just husband and wife, they're also best friends. Carolyn has currently 5 horses in training, 3 solely and 2 in partnership. And I tell you, she has more fun at the racetrack. What a great couple they are, and couldn't be a happier couple, I'm sure, at the winner's circle here at Keeneland. Let's take a look at the Wittenauer split times now, and most of these were, in fact, set by Skip Away. 23-1 on a really dazzling first quarter on this track. 46-2, they picked it up. 110-1, and finished off at 147-1. We'll take a look at our full order of finish. You know the top 3, led by Skip Away, Louis Quatorze from the barn of Nick Zito, and then editor's note. Draw running 4th. Diligence, very disappointing in 5th. Cimarron 6th. Ensign Ray 7th. And I think probably from 4 down, there'd be some real questions about who goes on to Churchill Downs out of that group. Money, of course, also a factor as far as graded stakes, those first 5 places, but I think more performance is very concerned of those that finish 5, 6, and 7 today. But no question about Skip Away. Skip Away is heading 76 miles east to Churchill Downs, to Louisville, and the Kentucky Derby. Thrifty Car Rental, racing across America, presented by Visa. Today's coverage of the Toyota Bluegrass Stakes from Keeneland has been brought to you by Thrifty Car Rental, historically known for low rates. By Visa, it's everywhere you want to be. Budweiser, official sponsor of the 1996 U.S. Olympic team. This Bud's for you. Toyota and their full line of quality cars and trucks. Toyota, I love what you do for me. And by Wittenauer watches, the perfect balance of hand craftsmanship and advanced technology. Wittenauer, the watchmaker's watch. Ground transportation provided by Thrifty Car Rental. For reservations at over 1,100 locations worldwide, call Thrifty at 1-800-4CARS. Well, there goes Skip Away, owned by Carolyn Hine, trained by her husband, Sonny. And what a great moment for Sonny Hine. He had never raced a horse before at Keeneland ever, but he's been here several times for the sale. In fact, he bought Skip Away's sire Skip Trial at the Keeneland sale for $30,000 back in 1983. He must love this place now. Guys, let's recap the day, put things in perspective for the Kentucky Derby 3 weeks away.
You know, if this race has taught us anything, remember, as the Hines celebrate this win, be careful to eliminate horses off the basis of this race. Remember, a year ago this weekend, Thunder Gulch looked a very badly beaten 4th.
Yeah, trainer Wayne Lucas is very cagey, and if you really watch closely editor's note, and you liked him today as I did, I think Gary Stevens had much admitted that they used this source a little bit earlier than he would have liked. Perhaps he's breaking on the outside. Again, he kind of breaks awkwardly as he usually does, and rather than gather him back to the fence last that I anticipated would be the strategy, watch Stevens kind of gun him up 3 wide. There he is in the white and the blue dot. He's in last place, but he's way out in the track in the 4-path. And I think if he had, you know, kind of gathered him up and taken him to the rail, he'd have a better shot. So look for that tactic perhaps in the Derby.
Just one note, Draw did get enough graded earnings in this race to qualify. Chris.
And we'll see you next from Churchill Downs in Louisville, Kentucky. And you'll be seeing us and seeing us and seeing us. 15 hours of expanded coverage as the Derby is a special event on ESPN. The Derby draw starts us off on Wednesday night, May 1st, live at 6. And, of course, 11 additional hours on ESPN and ESPN2. Hope you'll join us. Coming up next on ESPN, Lowe's 150 NASCAR Racing. Late model stock cars in action. North Wilkesboro, North Carolina. There's your winner of the $700,000 Toyota Bluegrass Stakes. It is Carolyn Hines, Skip Away, trained by her husband, Sonny. There's Caroline Sonny next to jockey Shane Sellers. And that smile is just not for this race. It's knowing that in 3 weeks' time, they'll be under the spires of Churchill Downs. There'll be one you'll be hearing about for this 122nd running of the Kentucky Derby. We're heading that way. See you there next week.